Hannah was a single mother with two beautiful daughters, Amanda and Susan. They were all she had left in the world. That morning, like many others before it, found them under a Lagos, huddled together against the cold. Amanda, the older one, had her small arms around her mother's waist. "Mommy, I'm cold," she whispered. Hannah pulled her closer. "I know, my baby, just stay with me." Susan, the little one, was fast asleep. Her head rested on Hannah's lap. Her small mouth was open, breathing soft and slow. Flies buzzed around her feet, but she didn't move. She was too weak, too hungry to care. The ground beneath them was hard like stone, and smell of smoke and urine filled the air. But this was home, not because it was warm, not because it was safe, but because it was all they had. People walked by, some in suits, some holding phones, some with hot bread in their hands. But no one looked their way, not even once, like they were ghosts in the middle of a loud market. They had not eaten since the day before yesterday. Their last meal was a piece of cassava flakes, soaked with dirty water. They shared it, and even then, Hannah only took one spoon. "Just a little more, Mommy," Amanda had said. "No, my love, you and Susan should finish it," Hannah replied, forcing a smile, her eyes holding back tears. Now, there was nothing, not even a naira, not even hope. And as Amanda held her tighter and Susan snored lightly, Hannah closed her eyes for a moment, not to sleep, but to gather strength. Because under that bridge, with nothing in her hands, she knew one thing. She must find food today, or her babies will starve. This was not the life she had dreamed of, but this was what the divorce left her with. One silly mistake that led her to where she was today. And this is why women should be afraid of men. Once, Hannah lived in a big house. The gate was wide. The walls were tall. The floors inside shone like mirrors. Her husband, Chuka, used to call her my queen. He gave her sweet words and soft kisses, but sweet things sometimes turn bitter. That night, everything changed. Hannah had just finished feeding the girls. Amanda was dancing to a cartoon. Susan was crawling with a spoon in her mouth. The room was warm. The curtains were closed. The smell of fried rice still floated in the air. Suddenly, the door banged open. Chuka stormed in like a wild storm. "Pack your things and get out," he shouted. Hannah stood confused. "What are you saying?" she asked. "You heard me?" He barked, his eyes sharp like a knife. "Get out of my house." She thought he was joking. She looked at the children, then looked back at him. "Chuka, what did I do?" He threw her bag across the room. Her clothes spilled like flying birds. "You talk too much. Always talking, always complaining. I'm tired. Please," she begged. Don't do this. Where will I go with the children?" But his eyes were cold, like stones from the bottom of a river. "Go to your rich family, or go to the gutter. I don't care." He dragged her by the arm and pushed her outside. Her feet hit the gravel. The children cried. Amanda screamed, "Daddy, stop!" Chuka slammed the door shut. Hannah stood in the street. No slippers, no wrapper, just tears. Her chest was heavy. Her hands shook. She carried Susan on her back, held Amanda by the hand, and walked. The night wind slapped her face. The stars above blinked, but none of them helped. Her heart was beating like a drum in a war. She went to her father's house, the one with the green gate and the mango tree in front. She knocked and knocked. No one answered. She knocked again. Then someone came out. It was her uncle. He looked at her from the gate. "What do you want?" he asked. Tears ran down her face. "Uncle, please. Chuka has driven me out. I have nowhere to go. Please, let me stay just for tonight. But the man folded his arms. We warned you, Hannah. We told you not to marry him. You said we were jealous of your love. Now you want to come back. Please, she whispered. But the gate remained closed. You chose him, he said. Now live with him. And then he walked away. Hannah stood there. Amanda shivered. Susan cried. She turned around, slowly. Her heart felt like it had fallen into a pit. That was the night she became a stranger in her own land. She faced the world with bare feet, a hungry baby, and no one behind her. And from that night on, the road became her home as she slept under the bridge with her two daughters. That was how her strive for survival started. Every morning, Hannah woke up under the bridge with Susan tied to her back and Amanda still curled beside her. Her eyes were red. Her bones felt heavy. But she stood up. She had heard there was work at a site in Yaba, carrying blocks. It was not a woman's job, but hunger does not care. Hunger will push a mother to do anything. She tied Susan tight on her back. Don't cry, my baby, she whispered. She took Amanda's hand. Come with me. Be strong. They walked for hours. The sun followed them. The dust rose with every step. When they got to the site, men were already at work, big men with muscles and loud voices. Cement dust filled the air like powder from a broken wall. Who is this one? One man asked, frowning. Another laughed more. Madame, this is not a market. This is work. Hannah said nothing. She just bent down and lifted a block. Her hands shook, but she didn't stop. Her back screamed. Her neck hurt. But she carried the blocks one by one. Susan slept on her back, her small hands hanging. Amanda sat near a pile of broken wood, playing with a bottle cap, her lips dry, her eyes tired. The sun became hotter. The sweat on Hannah's back mixed with the tears she didn't let fall. The men watched her. Some shook their heads. One gave her a little pure water. Another just hissed. Then, by midday, the foreman arrived. A short man with a big stomach and a red cap. His eyes scanned the site and landed on Hannah. He shouted, Madame, what is this? This is not a daycare. Hannah dropped the block. She stood straight. Her chest was rising and falling like a bird's wings. Sir, I need the work, she said. The man walked closer. You keep turning to check your baby. You keep running to your child. Are we paying you to look after children? Please, I will work harder, she begged. Just give me a chance. But the foreman shook his head. You are not serious. This is not a place for women with babies. Pack your things and leave. Hannah bent down and picked Susan gently. Amanda stood up and ran to her mother's side. The world around them was noisy, but Hannah heard nothing. Only the voice of failure ringing inside her chest. She walked away slowly, dust on her legs, cement on her hands, and shame following behind like a shadow. She had lost another chance. She didn't cry. She just held Amanda close and whispered, We will try again tomorrow. The next day, the sky was gray. The clouds looked like they were holding back tears. Hannah sat under the bridge, holding Susan in her arms. Amanda leaned on her shoulder. Her stomach was empty. Her pocket too. The world felt like it had locked every door. But then, one woman walked by. She was dark, with kind eyes and a scarf tied around her head. She looked at Hannah, then looked again. You are suffering, she said softly. Hannah nodded. The woman dropped a small blue cooler beside her. Take this. Start hawking water. It may not be much, but it will feed your children. Hannah's eyes lit up. Thank you, she said, her voice shaking. Return it if you ever stop using it. the woman said, then walked away. That cooler was like a gift from heaven. That morning, Hannah bought a few sachets of cold water with the last money in her wrapper. She packed Susan on her back. Amanda held her gown, and they began to walk. From street to street, every day, she weaved through yellow buses. Her voice rose above the noise. Cold water, 50 naira. Cold water, sweet like morning dew. Her throat burned, but she kept shouting. She ran between traffic, knocked on tinted windows, held the cooler steady on her head. Sweat poured down her face. Her wrapper dragged under her feet. Sometimes a kind driver bought one. Sometimes someone gave her some money and told her to keep the change. But many times she shouted for hours and sold nothing. Some drivers shouted at her to move. Some threw insults. One man poured the water on the ground and laughed. Amanda would walk beside her, tired and quiet. Susan would sleep, her tiny head rolling with each step. When the sun was kind, they sold well. When the clouds were angry, they went home with nothing but pain in their legs and hunger in their bellies. And each night, Hannah sat under the bridge and looked at the stars. Tomorrow, she whispered to herself, maybe tomorrow will be better. But the sky never answered. Then came the day everything collapsed. 2 days had passed. Amanda and Susan had not eaten anything. Not one grain of rice. Not one drop of soup. Not even cassava flakes. Hannah's belly made loud noises like thunder in a tin roof. But she ignored her own hunger. Her eyes were on the girls. Amanda had stopped talking. Susan had stopped moving. She stood up, tied Susan to her back, held Amanda's hand, and left the bridge. They walked the streets like shadows. She went from person to person. Some were walking fast. Some were buying food. Some were sitting in cars, biting soft meat and sipping cold drinks. Hannah walked to a woman eating puff-puff. Please, Ma, she said. My children have not eaten. Even just the crumbs, please. The woman turned her face and hissed. You people are always begging. Go and look for work. I had work, Hannah whispered, but I lost it. Not my problem. The woman snapped and walked away. Hannah tried again. A man in a suit passed by. She knelt on the ground. Please, sir, just bread, just water. The man looked down at her and shook his head. Why do women like you give birth if you can't feed your children? I didn't know things would turn out this way, she replied. He pushed past her, his shoes brushing her knees. Amanda looked up at her. Mommy, I'm hungry. Those words cut deeper than a knife. Hannah's chest squeezed like someone tied a rope around it. She walked to a bus driver, his plate full of jollof rice. Brother, please, just a spoon for my baby. The man looked at her like she was mad. Before? Do I look like your father? Then he threw a piece of meat in his mouth and laughed with his friends. Hannah's legs started to shake. Her vision blurred. She held Amanda close. Susan was still breathing, but her breath was slow, like the wind before rainfall. She moved to a corner and sat on the ground. Then, the tears came. They rolled down her cheeks, hot and heavy, not just from hunger, but from shame, from pain, from fear. She covered her face with her hands. The world kept moving, but Hannah sat still on a street full of people, with nothing but tears, 2 hungry children, and a heart that was breaking like dry wood. Then, Hannah smelled something. Bread. Fresh, warm, soft bread. The kind that melts in the mouth. She followed the smell. Her eyes wide. Her nose sharp. Like a hungry dog looking for crumbs. At the Maryland pedestrian bridge, she saw her, a bread seller, young, standing by the side of the road. Her tray full of golden loaves, stacked like pillows. The steam was rising, the scent danced in the air. Amanda saw it too. Mommy, bread. Hannah's heart pounded. She walked closer slowly. The woman was counting her money, not looking up. Hannah stopped in front of her. She held Amanda's hand tighter. Susan moved slightly on her back. Then she spoke, her voice soft, tired. Please, sister, she said. I'm not here to beg for money. Just one loaf. My daughters have not eaten in 2 days. The bread seller looked up. Her face changed at once. Her eyes turned sharp like pepper. Her lips pulled into a frown. Go and beg the man who got you pregnant, she snapped. Hannah blinked. Please, I beg you in God's name. The woman raised her voice. Lazy woman, is this my fault? Am I the one who told you to open your legs? Go and cry to the father of your children. It's not even for me, Hannah said, her voice shaking. Just for them. They are children. Leave this place, the woman shouted, before I call street boys for you. People were now watching. A few giggled. One man said, these beggars are everywhere. Hannah's hands trembled. Her lips parted, but no words came out. Amanda tugged her gown. Susan let out a small sound like a whimper. Slowly, Hannah turned to go, but her heart did not move. It stayed beside that bread. She took one step, then stopped, because her babies were dying. Behind her, Amanda stood beside a slab, watching the bread. Susan was still tied to her back, weak and sweating. Then, the bread seller turned. She faced another customer. She bent her head to count money. That was when it happened. Hannah's eyes locked on the tray. One loaf, just one. She moved, fast like a shadow. Her hand reached out. She grabbed a large loaf, software, warm. The smell made her eyes water. Then she ran. Her feet hit the ground like stones rolling down a hill. She ran toward Amanda. Her voice cracked. Run, she shouted. Amanda's eyes widened. Mommy, run! Amanda turned and ran. Hannah followed. The loaf pressed to her chest. Susan bounced gently on her back. For a second, just 1 second, it felt like escape. But then, thief! The bread seller screamed. She has stolen bread! Heads turned, voices rose, feet moved. The street boys came. 3, 4, 5. From corners, from car parks, from shops. Catch her! Someone shouted. Hold her! She's a thief! Hannah ran faster. Her legs shook. Her breath was loud. Amanda was in front, her small legs trying to keep up. But they were too slow. A man swung a stick. It hit her side. She stumbled. Another kicked her leg. She fell. The bread rolled away. It landed in the dust. Amanda screamed. Susan cried. The boys circled her. One slapped her. Another spat on her. She stole bread! Someone yelled. You useless woman. She must be taught a lesson. Hannah raised her hand. Please, it was for my children. A boy kicked her mouth. Blood came out. Amanda ran to her. Mommy! A man pulled Amanda away. Stand back! The crowd grew. The air was loud. And in the middle of it all, Hannah lay on the ground, her body shaking, her heart begging. But Lagos does not listen. The crowd grew like ants around spilled sugar. They dragged Hannah up and threw her back down. Her wrapper tore. Her knees bled. Her face was swollen like yam, left too long in fire. Slap, kick, plank, stone. She didn't fight back. She just covered her head with her arms and whispered, Please, it was for my children. But her voice was a leaf in a thunderstorm. Nobody heard. Someone shouted, Bring Tyre. Another echoed, Yes, jungle justice. The street boys scattered. One ran into a nearby mechanic shop. He came back with an old black tire. He threw it on her. It landed around her neck. Hannah couldn't move. Her breath was short. Her hands were shaking. Amanda screamed, "Leave my mommy! Please!" Susan cried from Hannah's back. A small, tired cry that sounded like a song with no end. Then came the yellow bottle. Fuel, poured like rain on dry grass. Hannah gasped. The smell hit her nose. Her dress soaked, her skin burned even before the fire came. She looked up. "Please," she said again. "It was just bread. My daughters were hungry." One of the boys struck a match. Small flame. It danced. Then he threw it. Whoosh! Fire. Hot. Wild. Angry. It swallowed her. Her scream tore the air. It was not a scream of pain. It was a scream of a mother, burning in front of her children. Amanda fell to the ground screaming, "Mommy! Mommy!" Susan wailed on her back. The crowd stood and watched. Some filmed with their phones. Some cheered. Some just turned away. And in the middle of it all, fire danced around a mother's body. Her skin cracked, her eyes closed, and her heart broke into flames. But Hannah had not always been like this. She was not always poor, not a beggar, not a thief. In fact, she came from a wealthy family, the only child of respected parents, a girl who had everything, until one foolish decision changed her life forever. And that was how it started. Her problems began the day her parents died. Hannah was not poor. She was born in riches. Her parents were the kind people who wore white clothes and gold watches. Their house in Lekki was so big, even their dogs had their own rooms. The gates opened by remote. The floors inside shined like clean mirrors. Her bed was soft, with pillows as big as clouds. She had everything. Shoes from London, clothes from Italy, a driver that opened her car door like a servant in a palace. She was the only child, the princess of the house. When she entered the living room, maids stood. When she coughed, someone brought her juice. Her mother owned a big transport company. Her father was a businessman, known in every corner of Lagos. And Hannah was proud, too proud. When beggars knocked on the gate, she told the security man, "Tell them to go. I don't like the smell." When children walked by on their way to school, she would splash water on them from her car tires and not even look back. She once said, "If you're poor, that's your fault. Everyone has legs. Go and hustle." She laughed at street hawkers. She rolled her eyes at market women. She saw herself as gold and others as dust. Her mother warned her, "Don't look down on people. Life can turn." She would smile and say, "Life cannot turn for me. I'm too smart." Even in church, when people shared stories of struggle, she would whisper to her friend, "Let them cry. That's not my portion." Yes, Hannah was the girl who never lacked, but pride, like a balloon, only needs one sharp truth to burst. And soon, that truth came. The house was quiet. The scent of medicine filled the air. Her father lay on the bed, weak, his voice like a whisper carried by wind. Her mother sat beside him, holding his hand. Both of them were sick, the kind of sickness that doesn't go away. Hannah sat at the edge of the bed, her eyes full of worry, but also full of love. The love was not for them. It was for Chuka. That was the time Chuka had just started coming around. Tall, smooth talking, always holding her bag and calling her Angel. Her parents watched him closely, too closely. One evening, her father called her. His voice was soft, but his words were strong. "Hannah, promise me one thing before I die." "What is it, Daddy?" "Don't marry that man. Chuka is not a good man. He smiles with his mouth, but not with his heart." Her mother added, her voice shaking, "He only wants what we have, not who you are. Please, listen." But Hannah stood up, her face hard like stone. You people don't understand. Chuka was there when I was sick. When I had no friends around, he came and took care of me. He's the one I love. Her father coughed. Love is not always loud. Sometimes evil hides inside sugar. I made up my mind, she shouted. Her mother cried, please, Hannah, we beg you. But Hannah turned and walked away. A few days later, they died, both of them, just 1 week apart, like two candles blown out by the same wind. As the only child, everything they had was her inheritance by right. At the burial, Chuka stood beside her, holding her waist. Her family members looked at him with tight lips. After the burial, her uncle pulled her aside. Hannah, he said, you are walking into fire with your eyes open. Don't say we didn't tell you. But Hannah folded her arms and said, you all just want to control me. You're angry that I inherited everything. I know what I'm doing. And with pride in her voice and blind love in her heart, she married Chuka. The wedding was grand. The hall was filled. Music loud. Guests clapped. But above all the noise, her parents' warnings still echoed, and Hannah did not hear them. At first, everything looked like a fairy tale. Chuka treated Hannah like a queen on a golden chair. He held her hand in public, kissed her forehead in private, called her my world, my sunshine, my everything. They traveled to Dubai, to Ghana, even to the United States. Their pictures filled the internet, smiling, holding hands, wearing matching clothes. People said she married well. Hannah smiled with her teeth and her heart. I told you, she would say. You all doubted him, but look at us now. She decorated their mansion in Lekki, gold curtains, marble floors, crystal lights. Chuka gave her anything she asked for. She got pregnant, and Amanda came first, small, soft, with eyes like her mother. Then Susan, round cheeks, always giggling. Hannah felt full of joy, full of love, full of pride. She would carry her girls and say, look at my life. I made the right choice. Her friends envied her. Her enemies whispered. But Hannah didn't care. She walked around with her head high, like a bird flying without fear. She believed she had won. She believed love had covered her like a warm blanket. She believed the warnings were just noise from jealous mouths. But behind that soft wind, a storm was hiding, and the sky was already changing. But Hannah was too busy, smiling to see the clouds. The sweet wind did not last. One evening, Hannah came home from the market. She opened the bedroom door and stopped. A woman was lying on her bed. Chuka stood by the window, buttoning his shirt. Chuka? She asked, her voice shaking like dry leaves. He smiled. Not kindly, not sorry, just bold. Oh, this one? He said, pointing to the woman. She's just keeping me company. In our room? Hannah cried. He laughed. You think I will stay with just one woman? Wake up. Her mouth fell open. After everything, after all I gave you. Chuka sat down. Yes, you gave me money. That's why I stayed. But now, I don't need you. Tears filled her eyes. You were nothing before I married you. And now, I'm everything, he said, brushing his shirt like a king. That night, she shouted. He slapped her. The next morning, he brought another woman. When she tried to talk, he hit her again, and again, and again. The bruises were not just on her face. They were in her heart, her pride, her spirit. Amanda saw it once. She cried and hid behind the curtain. Susan screamed, holding her ears. But Chuka didn't stop. He became fire in a glass house. Hannah tried to report. But how? He now owned everything. Why? Because when love blinded her, She had signed all her properties, all her inheritance to him, the mansion, the company, her parents' accounts, everything. He was now the king, and she was his prisoner. And in that golden cage, Hannah began to break. One afternoon, the sun was calm. Birds were singing. The gate was quiet. Hannah walked into the house, holding a bag of tomatoes and pepper. Amanda ran to hug her. Susan smiled from the chair. For a moment, it felt normal. Then she saw the papers, 2 white sheets, placed neatly on the center table, like a message waiting for a tear. She picked the first one. Her hands shook. Divorce letter. Her name written clearly. Her marriage ended. Her heart skipped. No, this can't be real. She grabbed the second paper. Proof of house sale. Signed. Sealed. Complete. The house, her house, was now in another name. She looked around: the chairs, the curtains, the toys, the kitchen, everything she built, sold. Tears rushed to her eyes. She called her lawyer. Sir, please tell me this is a mistake. But his voice was flat like a dry road. Madam, you gave him full power. You signed everything over. He has legal rights. There's nothing I can do. The words hit her like a stone to the chest. She dropped the phone. Her legs gave way. She fell to the floor. No scream, no word. Just the sound of her body landing softly, like a leaf falling from a tree that has lost its roots. Amanda came close. Mommy? But Hannah didn't answer. Her heart was broken. Her life was gone. And that was what led her to the position she was today, as she was being burnt alive, just for stealing a loaf of bread, which once she could afford the whole bakery. The fire danced like a wild spirit. It wrapped around Hannah's body, licking her skin, biting her arms, chewing her legs. Her wrapper caught first, then her hair, then her voice. She screamed, loud, long, like a mother calling the whole world at once. Please help me, please. But the crowd only watched. Amanda screamed too. My mommy, stop! Susan cried on the floor, twisting her tiny arms, her face red with fear. But nobody moved. Phones were up. Lips were quiet. Hearts were hard. Then, wee! Ooh! Sirens, loud, close, angry. 2 police vans screeched into the scene. Officers jumped down. What is going on here? One fired into the sky. Pa! Pa! The crowd scattered like dry corn thrown in fire. Hannah's uncle came running. His shirt was soaked with sweat. His slippers were loose. He had tried to stop the boys earlier, but they pushed him down. So he ran. He ran like a madman to the nearest station. Now he was back, with help. Stop it! That's my niece, he cried. The officers pulled the burning tire off her. One grabbed a water sachet. Another ran for the fire extinguisher. Pshee! The fire hissed. The flames fought, but slowly, they died. Smoke rose into the sky like a ghost leaving a tired body. Hannah lay still. Her dress was gone. Her skin was burnt, red, black, and broken. But she was breathing, weak, but alive. The officers carried her gently. Amanda ran beside them. Please don't let her die. Her uncle held Susan, tears rolling down his cheeks like rain. And as the van drove away, sirens screaming once more. The fire stayed behind, but Hannah, she had survived it. The hospital room was quiet. The walls were white. The air smelled like medicine and pain. Hannah lay on the bed, her body wrapped in bandages. Her lips were dry. Her eyes were half open. Beside her sat her uncle. His eyes were red but calm. His voice was soft. You're safe now, he whispered. The girls are safe. They're with me. Hannah blinked. A tear rolled down the side of her face. I want to see them, she said slowly. You will, he replied, holding her hand gently. But first, there's something I must tell you. He paused. Then he spoke. Chuka has been arrested. Hannah's eyes widened. Her uncle continued. The police searched your old house. They found documents, hidden voice notes, letters. He planned everything. From the beginning. Hannah's fingers trembled. What do you mean? He killed your parents? Her uncle said, voice tight. Not at once. Slowly, quietly, with poison. Little by little. So it would look like sickness. Hannah's mouth opened. No sound came out. Her heart beat loud in her chest. He wanted your inheritance. He knew once they were gone, he could get everything through you. So he fooled you, made you fall in love. And once you married him, he took it all. Tears poured from Hannah's eyes. Hot, heavy, endless. Her uncle held her tighter. We always knew he was not a good man, but we didn't know he was that evil. Hannah turned her head to the wall. Her body couldn't cry louder, but her soul was screaming. The fire had burnt her skin, but this truth, this one burnt her heart. All the warnings, all the signs, ignored, and now she understood. Some men wear love like a mask, not to care, not to build, but to destroy. Chuka never loved her. He only wanted the keys to the kingdom. And now, the kingdom was gone. Her body was scarred. Her children were watching, but she was still breathing. And with her last tear that night, she whispered to the ceiling, love should never hurt like this. I hope you enjoyed the story. If so, please like the video. Comment what you learned from the tale. Share with friends and family. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more African tales just like this one. Thank you.